comme magie, merci de nous suivre. On se retrouve aujourd'hui pour une nouvelle interview avec Shawn Farquhar. Hello Shawn.
Hello.
How are you?
Excellent, thanks for asking.
On est ici à Genève pour sa tournée de conférences en Europe et il a accepté du coup de me rencontrer. On lui pose quelques questions. So Shawn, in this interview we're going to talk a little bit about you and also about your career. So first question, simple question. How did you start magic? When did it happen?
Oh.
How old were you?
My mother says when I was born,
Yeah.
the doctor slapped me and I said, pick a card. Okay, my father was a magician, and so when I was small he taught me some magic tricks, but he was teaching my brother more.
Yeah.
And I watched my brother do magic tricks, and I would learn by watching my brother. And then my brother told my father he didn't want to be a magician,
Yeah.
and then my father started teaching me more. And by then I got some books and met a few people in school who did some magic.
Did some magic too.
Both were lucky, and I did magic shows together in a great few. Yeah, we get started. I was born to do magic.
Yeah, so at that time, did you have a kind of magic mentor or teacher?
My father.
Your father, yeah?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about him for those?
My father was William Farquhar,
Yeah.
and he was an airframe mechanic. He, by trade, he worked for the Canadian Armed Forces, and was brilliant with his hands for tools and building anything, fixing anything, and he was very clever with the magic he did. He also played every instrument in the world.
Really?
I can't recall an instrument that he didn't pick up that he couldn't play. Trumpet, saxophone, drums, guitar, sousaphone, you name it. My father picked it up and he played it, and I was like, how? And his joke was he plays by ear. So he couldn't read music, but he played by ear, was the expression. And I said, I've never seen you put a trumpet to your ear. Yeah.
Really quite fun. Do you remember the first trick you learned? What was it?
The first trick my father taught me was not so much tricks as technique. And it was a coin from one hand to the other. And we sat on the floor, and I was closing the hands over like this,
And it was
at the same time making the coin travel across.
Yeah.
And then he taught me to do it up higher, away from it, and then I learned to do it here. And the first trick he ever built for me was a vanishing banana.
Oh.
It was a flip over box.
Yeah.
So the box had a front and back with holes in the side. I put a banana inside and then flipped it, and of course it made the banana disappear. Yeah.
So the first trick you learned was a coin trick, which you're mostly known as a card magician.
Yeah.
So how did you specialize in card magic? How did it begin?
That was way late. I had a whole career. First, by the time I was 12, I had a TV show in Canada, and it was all props and with girls and dancers and things like that. And when I was about 14, 15, that career ended because I wasn't cute anymore. And I went from about 14 to 18 doing some shows, but not many. Moved a lot. And then went into dove magic. And I produced birds and cockatoos, parakeets. And that was a long career. And then went into illusions. And sawed my girlfriend, who then became my wife, in half, stabbed her with swords. And then I always had a fascination for cards, played with them, but I wasn't very good at it. In the early 90s, I started working on better techniques. Around 95, I found a piece of music and I loved the magic behind it, so I made a piece of music into magic for the stage. And then slowly learned that close-up magic was really fun and became addicted to it.
Okay. So after that you have won many contests.
Yeah.
So can you, just before we talk about the several rewards you had, can you tell us about your first ever magic contest? Do you remember when it took place?
Yeah.
And do you remember the act? What was your act?
Everything about it.
Yeah.
It was a stage competition. It's the Pacific Coast Association of Magicians, which is a American, Canadian, Japanese, Philippine convention on the Pacific side. Yeah, I did a bird act. I was dressed in a bluish kind of tuxedo, and I produced 6 birds. And my mentor at the time was Carl Hemian and Lonnie Hemian, who helped me. Eugene Berger had helped me to put it together. I competed in California. The other acts included Kevin James, Victor Diamond, a guy named Jonathan Yarbrough, who changed his last name to Pendragon. There was a lot of very good ones. Ed Alonzo were all in the contest. So quite well-known magicians now. At the time they were young magicians, and I don't know why, but the judges liked my act and I won. And I came home from that competition and quit my job and decided I was going to be a full-time magician.
What was your job at the time?
I was working at Northwest Biological and Chemical Laboratory in the study of marine biology, and I was putting dead animals into plastic pails with formaldehyde. It was a very special job.
Wow. So let's talk about now your first 2 prizes at the IBM.
Yeah.
So you are, as I saw it, you are the only magician who won both the first prize on close-up magic and on stage magic.
Kind of crazy.
Can you tell us a little bit about this contest? And when did you win those 2 acts?
In 1998 I won the stage one with the Bird Act, and I toured the world with the Bird Act. It was really fun. And in 2001 I won the close-up one. I competed in 2000, but I didn't win. And I knew that the act was good, I would try again. And I went and I competed at the Society of American Magicians, where I won their silver medal, which is their biggest honor. They have a gold medal, but they've only given it once. But got a large award from them. I went to the IBM and I won it, and I realized I was the first person to win in both categories. And the IBM is a very important organization for me because it spans the world, and I stayed in it long enough to become president of it.
Yeah,
so
we're going to talk a little bit about it later.
Sure.
And then you won 5 FISM awards.
Yeah.
One of the most FISM rewarded magicians ever.
Until just 3 years ago, it was Magic Christian and I, we were both tied with 5. And in Korea, they gave him a special award for all the history he's done. So he had 6, and I congratulated him. I said, but remember, you're old, I'll be around for
quite a while.
But I'll wait till he passes before I try for any more, because I really respect him. He's a nice man.
Do you remember how you prepared yourself to your first FISM?
Yeah.
What did you thought about first, how did you prepare yourself?
I didn't know what to expect, because FISMs change from city to city and country to country. I had helped my friend Juliana Chen prepare for Dresden, and when she won, I thought to myself, I should really go give this a try. If she won, and I helped her, maybe I had something for it. So in 2003, I went to The Hague in the Netherlands, but I was working on a cruise ship, so I worked only 1 day a week. So I had 6 days in which to rehearse and practice, and I practiced on the crew members and people in the bar. And I would set up in the corner and invite people to come over and see if I could keep their interest for the whole length. On the day of the competition, I was a little thrown off though. I'd planned wrong. I planned to arrive the day before, and then there was a rehearsal, and then the competition. I ended up being there on the day of the competition. I arrived a few hours earlier, and I went to my bed and breakfast, and it was closed, the door was locked. So I slept on the stairway out in front. And when the lady came to open up her bed and breakfast, she asked me if I was the Canadian they were looking for yesterday. Why were they looking for me? I said, you had a rehearsal yesterday. I said, no, my rehearsal's tomorrow. I said, no, I think your competition is today. And I ran like a crazy guy to the tram, got on the tram, took it to the Congress Hall, went in, and they said, oh, they're waiting for you. You should be on very soon. I ran up, I didn't even have time to shave, I just put on my suit, and the other act, who was the first act, was already performing. So I just didn't have time to even get nervous. I just went out there and did my act. And then I had all the time in the world to watch, 7 days of really great magic. And keep going, no, I think mine was better than that. Okay, I may lose to that guy. Oh, mine was better than that. It was really fun and very relaxed. So my first FISM was a whole different experience. And they had people like Tommy Wonder was a judge, and he came to talk to me because he liked my style. And I did cups and balls, and he wanted to know where I had to make them. I told him I made them myself, and we became more kindred spirits. Yeah, so I really didn't prepare.
That was first FISM.
Yeah.
So as I said, you won several FISM awards, and especially the Close-Up Grand Prix in 2009. But I prefer to ask it because I was surprised of the answer from Norbert Perret. What is the FISM reward you're the most proud of? Is it the Grand Prix or is it another one? And why?
Oh, it's the Grand Prix. Yeah, I think it's the highest honor in magic. Winning the World Championship in cards was wonderful, but the Grand Prix says, you just stand above. If you're asking me for FISM awards, it's definitely the Grand Prix. If you ask what my favorite award is, it would be the first PCM award that I won, because it was the defining moment that told me I was going to be a magician professionally.
Okay, so that was my next question.
Oh, is it? Cool.
So, about FISM again, if you compare the magic level from your time when you competed to your first FISM or the last one in 2009, and today's FISM, like the last one last summer, what do you think of the evolution of the close-up contest when you look at the kind of Asian style like Shin Lim or
Shin Lim is from my city, you know. He's Canadian.
Yeah.
And Eric Chen, who won, he came to Vancouver to study with me.
Really?
So, I don't know if you'd say it was Asian style or
if you take, for example, Horace Wu or Bill Chung or
those guys, a lot of their influence came from 4F. So I think it's hard to designate to a country or an area anymore, as much as the close-up magic is growing.
Yeah.
Because we're sharing more. Of course. When I started, there was only a handful of references. Now there's 2,000 close-up magic tricks a year being sold by Murphy's.
Yeah,
so,
of course, yeah.
you know, it's different. But I think the level has always been strong. You look at Michael Lamar and how long ago since he won FISM again. When he competed, it was tough competition. Lance Burton, when he won in Lausanne, it was, you know, an amazing act that went on to make him a $100 million contract in Vegas. Each one is different. You'll see low level and very high level in every FISM.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching emotion come into close-up magic because at first it used to be pick a card, find a card, and competition acts used to be start small and then big. And now it's be emotional, be more receptive to the audience, and I really like that. I want to tell a story with my magic, and I think more magicians are doing that now.
Okay, so that's for the close-up, but what do you think about the evolution of magic in general with today, with the internet, with everything? Do you think it's more a good thing, a bad thing?
I don't think the internet is bad. I think what's bad is young magicians who don't have respect for artists. The internet is just a tool. I use the internet every day, and I research and I find material. And today I needed something from Expert Card Technique. It took me 2 minutes to Google it and find it, where I would normally have to wait till I got home and looked in my book and dug through to get to page 161. Right? Instead, it was a 8-second search. I read page 161, I knew exactly what I needed to know, and I feel better. So the internet's a tool, and any tool can be used well or it can be used poorly. It's how young magicians are being raised. If they're not being raised that secrets are valuable and that respect is important, then they just take your trick. I Googled today Alum Columbidi separation slot because I wanted some more information on something I teach. And the first came up a video on YouTube, and it was a young man explaining one of my routines that I teach in the lecture. And I wrote in his comments, said, "Why did you put that there? When I know you learned it by coming to a conference, and you're not teaching it correctly, you're missing parts of it, and you're hurting the people who think they're learning it. You'd be better to just take the video down." But they don't have a respect level. They just think, So I don't think it has anything to do with the internet. It has to do with teaching people.
So how do you see magic in about 20 years? Do you think it's...
It's always going to grow.
It's always going to grow?
Yeah, people have negative things. Oh, magic will die because of the internet, or young kids, or we'll lose the ability to entertain. I've heard that since I was a kid. Magic will always grow. People will always need wonder. I find that the greatest growth of magic is whenever people are sad. If you think about it, during World War II, some of the greatest magic was created. During the Depression, some of the best magicians were born and became who they are. As the economy goes bad, there's war and violence, people need fantasy. And we are those people. We take them out of that wonderful world of, I hate my job and I've got bills and the world is falling apart. And we give them a moment of, oh wow. And that's just the best.
Great answer, great answer. So, as you said before, and as we said before, you have been president or vice president of several magic associations, like the IBM, the Canadian Association of Magicians, the Pacific Coast Association of Magicians. On the list.
President of all of those.
Crazy. What did those experiences taught you?
Taught me about the community of magic. First, it taught me that I don't like politics. And I didn't want any one of them to be a politician. I went in to help to improve an organization. And in all of them, I was faced with a few people that were political, who wanted to keep some power. And I worked hard to force them out because I thought that was bad for the community. And in return, I helped to grow the community. Like in the IBM, I helped to form new IBM rings, like in Bulgaria and Sri Lanka. And it was really great for those places to have an insurgent. And I traveled all over to help. I went to places that IBM presidents had never gone to. The Pacific Coast Association of Magicians, I helped to develop a lecture network so that magicians could go to regions that nobody had magic at. And the Canadian Association of Magicians really needed something that linked the Canadians together. And I helped to make that grow, built a website for them. I learned a lot. I learned about the community, and I helped other magicians to grow, and they helped me.
Okay, great. So you have also appeared in several TV shows.
A couple.
Like Penn and Teller Full House 2 times. Or the Ellen Show. So
I also worked on shows like The X-Files
of course.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And,
really? I didn't know about this one.
Hulu, I just did a thing called Shut Eye. And I worked on Arrow recently.
Oh, great.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Okay.
Lots of TV shows.
Okay, lots of TV shows.
And movies.
Also,
lots of movies.
Also. So we're just going to talk about
those
Penn and
TV
Teller,
shows.
for example.
Perfect.
So can you tell us about the two times you went in the show? How did you prepare yourself? Were you confident? Did you know that you would fool them or not?
Yeah, because I'm arrogant. No, the first Penn and Teller Fool Us was filmed in England, and they contacted me, and I said no. I had no interest in going on a show. The premise was fool us, because I said magic's not about fooling; it's more about personal connection and a story. And then they told me that Johnny Thompson was involved, and Johnny Thompson to me is the greatest living magician. And any opportunity to spend a few minutes with him, I said yes. I was in Paris working, and I flew over to London for the day. I filmed the video trailers in the morning in a bar that looked like Canada. I went to a pizza place while they edited it. Then we went to the hotel for me to change and shave. And we went to the television studio and filmed it. And I was out of the hotel the next morning and back in Paris to do my show again.
Great.
It was pretty crazy. It was like 7 years ago. The experience was unbelievable because I got to spend hours talking to Johnny Thompson. And I really didn't care how the show went over, if I fooled him or I didn't fool him. I got to hang out with him. I got to, for the first time in my life, I got to explain my magic trick to somebody. I've been doing the sign card and seal deck for a decade, and I never told anybody the secret. And so he's the one guy.
He's the only one to know
I told
really
him,
how it works.
It was so invigorating for me to go, here it is. Here's it. And he was like, it's really good. You're going to fool the boys. You think so?
And did you tell the boys after the show? No? They
still
don't know.
I never told them. Why would I?
Even if Penn was, tell me, I want to know.
They weren't though, because I was the first magician on the first day.
Yeah.
So I was the first guy to
I remember.
And they had lots of conflict with other magicians and things going on, and they were having technical difficulties with the lighting boards and things opening and closing the microphones. So it went by really quickly. But it was a great experience from start to end. Everybody was so friendly to me. I had lots of problems. When they introduced me, they ran my video trailer, and then they opened up the wall for you to come through. The wall didn't open because it was new. And so they had to go cut, and then they set it all up again, they checked the motor, and then they apologized to the audience, 750 people, and so we're going to do it again. They did it again, and it opened about this far. And I stuck my arm out and waved. The crowd screamed and cheered. Joshua J. Andy Gladwin were in the audience, and they're like, oh, it's so funny. Then they ran my video trailer for the third time. By now the people are bored of seeing my video trailer. Hi, I'm Shawn Farquhar. And they disengaged the motor, and they just had 2 men pull it apart. I went through as quick as I could and went forward. When the trick was done, Jonathan, the host, talked to me, and they went, cut, there's a problem with Penn's microphone. And for the next about 20 minutes, they fixed his microphone. So they had like 20 minutes to think about my card trick. So when they came back and said, we're good to go, Jonathan Ross said, well, do you think the boys? I said, I think the boys had enough time to build a prototype.
Oh, yes.
It was pretty crazy. So I was very surprised I fooled and thrilled and honored. And it made a huge difference in my career and visibility.
As an international performer and lecturer, you have traveled all around the world. You've met thousands of magicians. First, how do you prepare yourself for a lecture tour? For a lecture tour like this one, like the one you're in actually. Is it difficult to travel for weeks away from your family? And then, all around the world, what kind of magicians did you meet?
Preparing is easy for me because I have thought about teaching this material for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the structure already built and I knew what I wanted to teach and how I would teach it. I had already constructed videos and put everything together. So I knew what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So that part was very easy. Mm-hmm. I'm always goal driven. I lay out what I want and then I build towards it.
Okay.
Meeting magicians is really fun, and traveling. I'm used to traveling. I travel about 280 days a year, and my wife and daughter traveled with me until my daughter wanted to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
Up until she was 6, I never missed a day in her life, and then I missed some because she wanted education at home, in school, instead of being homeschooled as we travel. But I have a very loving wife and a daughter. My wife was in my show for more than 20 years, being the girl chopped in half, sonic, and everything.
Very brave.
And nowadays it's so much easier because we have FaceTime and Facebook Messenger, and I can every morning talk to her and every night. And they'll join me on this tour. I'm doing 46 days, and they'll come on February 14th to London.
Okay.
And then they will do the UK leg of it as we go up to Scotland, over to Ireland, Isle of Man, and down to the London Magic Circle. And then we'll all go home together, and then I'll leave to go to the Caribbean and get on a cruise ship. The type of magicians I meet really vary, from the technically brilliant to the entertaining, to the entertaining and technically brilliant, to the absolute amateur or just lover of magic, sometimes historian. And I love them all. Because I think I have something to offer them all. Maybe to the professional, it's not a move, but it's inspiration that I've made it so far. And to the young person who's just getting started, maybe it's the cool new move that will get him addicted to, holding a deck of cards in his hand 8 hours a day. Yeah.
Okay. I also know that Thomas who told me that you have been filming a kind of video at the last 4Fs for a web series.
Yeah.
Can you tell a little bit about it, or not?
I'm building a website called Magician U, like the University for Magicians. But so Magician U, and I just want to put a lot of content for free, not pay for anything. I want everything to be free. Books, videos, interviews, and so with a lot of professional magicians, I'm asking them a series of questions, but not always about magic. Books to be inspired to read that are outside of magic, music that people should learn or listen to, poetry, things like that. Because I find that the best magicians are very well-rounded or very focused, one or the other, very well-rounded or focused centrally on one thing. And I want to explore those to help people to understand. And I think Magician U is a great way for anybody beginning, if you're 6 or 66, to go in and look and see stuff. And so I'm slowly building it up, but it's taking time because it's a passion project. There's no money involved. It's just my money going out the door. And so I just do it slowly until it gets all set.
Okay, so we'll wait until you see it.
Yeah, the site is there. It's just not ready with a lot of content yet.
Okay, great. So we'll wait. Almost the last question. We already said it, I think, before, but what is magic for you?
It's a personal connection to the audience. Magic takes place in their head, not in my hands. What I do is technique to try to evoke some sort of feeling of wonder or emotion. I built a small show, a cabaret in my country, and I call it Cabaret of Wonders. It doesn't have the word magic because I'm not trying to pretend to be a real magician by the definition of what they think a real magician is. My definition of a magician is somebody who creates wonder and allows you to question what's around you and accept what you see even though you know it's impossible. So for magic for me is anything that makes you feel special and different, even if it's just a heartbeat.
Okay. Okay, great. So before we go to the Dicomagie quiz to finish the interview.
The quiz?
Yes,
I love quizzes.
We always finish the interviews with this.
Awesome.
This one is funny, I think you're gonna like it. The last question is there a question that nobody ever asked you and that you would like somebody to ask you?
I have a funny question. I had a funny story. I had a person from a very large magazine in America contact me, and when we sat down for the interview, the first thing she said was, "How many magic awards have you won?" And I said, that's a very odd question to ask me. I said, that's a research question. You can find that on the internet. And she said, oh, so what would be a better question? I said, how many magic contests have I lost? And she said, that's a great question. I said, yeah, but it's mine, so I won't answer it. I've lost a lot of contests. And I think that most people only ask about what your successes are. And I'd love to be asked things like, you know, how many contests have you lost? Because that's more inspiring.
Of course.
If they know that I didn't just win to get there. If I said, yeah, I won my first contest, but the next one I lost immediately. And I did. I went from PCM winning and quitting my job to 6 months later traveling to Arizona to a competition with many of the same people, and I didn't win. And I could have quit. But instead I won another contest, and I didn't win that one. And I could have quit, but then I won the next one. And then I had a pretty good streak, and then I lost a couple again. And if you look at FISM, I didn't win first prize when I did Den Haag. I competed in close-up and parlor in Stockholm, and I took second prize, so I didn't win there either. Although I had prizes, it's still not a first prize. So yeah, I've lost lots of contests, and it's an interesting question to ask people.
Okay, we're gonna keep it.
What have you lost?
That's a very good plan. Okay, so now the Dico Magic Quiz.
Yes.
We finish every interview with this quiz. The principle is very simple. We ask you, I have 7 questions, and you're gonna have to answer to them very quickly without thinking about the answer. Okay? Some questions are quite tough, so be ready.
3 of clubs. Oh, sorry. Trying to get ahead.
That was the 5th.
That was wrong? Okay.
So you have the opportunity to meet any magician, alive or dead, that you have already met or that you never saw. Who do you choose and why?
My father. I'd love to have more time with him.
Yeah? Okay.
Sorry, it's probably not the one you wanted.
but that's exactly
that's a perfect one. My father, perfect. I would love to have more time with him.
Okay. Is there a specific magic trick or a magic category that you never tried and that you regret you never tried?
No, I've tried everything. Mentalism was the one I hadn't tried, and I decided to try to make it funny. And I came up with a book test.
Yeah.
So I've never tried serious mentalism. I don't think it would go well. But that was the one category. I did escapes when I was young, cards, illusion, everything else I've pretty much done. I even tried ventriloquism, but I never tried mentalism. And so I went, if I'm going to do it, let's do it funny.
And you did it?
I did it.
Okay.
It's funny.
What is your best memory as a magician?
I worked a show with a young boy who was a Make-A-Wish Foundation person. There are people that are terminally ill and are going to die, and Damien requested me to be his Make-A-Wish. And I went to him and said, you know, I'm going to come here anyways. Tell them that I'm not your wish anymore and ask for an astronaut or to go to Disneyland or something. I said, no, I want to hang out with you. And it was supposed to be an afternoon. We spent 4 days together before he died. It was very cool.
Okay.
The magic wasn't great, but the magic between us was really awesome.
Between you was cool. Okay. What is your worst memory as a magician?
Oh, so many.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, so many.
Quickly.
Losing a contest where I thought it was important, and I realized later it wasn't, but I looked like an idiot. No, even worse. I did I get choked up about that one.
Oh, you can take it.
I did a show in Canada for the International Brotherhood of Magicians.
Yeah.
And everything went wrong.
Oh.
Because the person who had played the piano played after he was finished. He continued to practice, but they kept him in the speakers, so I couldn't hear my music. And I left the stage, and I was angry and childish, and I threw stuff around, and I was embarrassed later. But I became best friends after that with a man, Pete Byro, because of it.
Okay. So, as we talked about the musicians, sorry.
Yeah.
So musicians have some exercise to practice their dexterity. Do you also have some tricks that you usually do to practice your dexterity?
No, I don't think I'm that dexterous.
No.
I
practice your magic.
I practice my cards. I have them in my hands all the time. I practice different fans. I practice some cardistry moves that are fun. And I try to do it with a rhythm to music. And then I switch between a soft song and a fast song and try to keep the same rhythm of whatever I created that day.
Okay.
So maybe it's 5 or 6 different false shuffles and a couple of moves in between. and a couple of spins, and then I will practice that at slow, beautiful, and then I switch to like a rock song, and then try to keep it going.
Okay.
And then I look up and I see people in the airport terminal all looking at me. It's a pretty regular thing.
Okay. What is the most important quality that defines a good magician for you?
Honesty. When you're honest with the audience in how you perform, I think it's the strongest. When I look back to the artists that I've admired the most, Doug Henning, he was totally him. On and off stage, he was 100% himself. He was honest with the audience. What he showed them on stage was what he was off stage. David Copperfield used to be, suave and debonair, but the last decade, he's become very honest with the audience, talking to them, being very friendly. Lance Burton, when he began to talk to the audience, it changed how he performed. I think that Matt King is a perfect example of that. Almost all the great ones. Gaetan Bloom, when he stands on stage, it's Gaetan Bloom.
Yeah, it's
right?
Gaetan Bloom.
Norbert Ferrer. But when you go from the character into the relax,
to the clown,
having that honesty with the audience, not trying to be something you're not, and just relaxing, really changes your magic.
Okay. And for the finish, what advice would you give to a young beginner in magic?
Read as much as you get. Follow your heart. Don't listen to people that put you down. Because there will always be people that don't think you can do it. And the reason that is because they can't. It doesn't mean you can't, it just means they can't, and they think you're the same as them.
Okay.
Study the past, because the past needs to be known before you can create a future, and show respect to the past. And do it because you love it. Don't do it because it'll make you money. Forget about the money part, the money will come on its own. When I stopped worrying about money, I all of a sudden had it. It's a beautiful thing. And I love what I do, and I've never worked a day in my life.
Great. Okay, thank you very much, Shawn,
Thanks for having
your
me.
time.
I love the questions.
For your answers.
It's very cool.
Glad. Merci beaucoup de nous avoir regardés, et puis on se donne rendez-vous très bientôt sur Dicomagie pour de nouvelles actualités. Thank you, Shawn.
À bientôt.